Everybody, welcome. Mr. Steve back, and I'm going to go over how I made the buttons in OCP, the one-click proxy add-on that actually switch the button icon, they switch the state of the mesh, and they switch the name, which is really cool to be able to do that. And so anytime you'll turn something on or off, you'll see it's on or off, and it makes a more intuitive add-on, very good for the consumer to use. And so either bounding box or proxy, and then I can turn wireframe on and then show the wireframe. Obviously that will render out the wireframe as well, which is really cool thing to be able to do. And then turning all of that off, it's gonna make your add-on a little bit better. So I'm gonna show you how I did that. Come on in, like the channel, subscribe for more, and let's do this. All right, welcome. So I like to start off by adding another workspace. I just call it visual scripting, and just add general, and you can come down to scripting and add another one, and then just double click up here and you can rename that. Now I'm already in the Serpens workspace here, so I can click new. I'll jump down scripting. I'm going to rename this main. And I get easily confused there because you don't have to hit S in 4.0, and I've been using 3.6 and 4.0, so Shift A S panel, and I am using Blender version 3.6 just in case you guys are wondering. And what I want to do is I want to loop through all of the objects with a loop for interface, and the loop for interface is going to be run under the blend data. And we'll just grab the context, go blend data, context, go down to view layer, and I want to objects, and I want to grab that collection. And once I've got that collection, I'm going to go ahead and tag that in here. Now at some point I'm going to want to put in an if statement somewhere in here, because I'm going to want to do some checks, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Now I'm going to be outputting properties, so I'm just going to go ahead and select property. I want a label to show up so the add-on looks good, so I'm going to tag in a label. What we can do is go back over here to the view layer, go to objects, drop down the objects, select the plane, hit the search box, type in name, and then grab that property. And now when I've got this, I can tag it in, switch it to prop, and voila, I'll have plane. And so if I go ahead and drop in anything else like a UV sphere, that's going to pop up as well. Now one of the checks that I'm actually going to want to do for this, I'll do it right after the loop. I'm going to want to make sure that I'm only displaying objects that are a mesh. So if I throw in a camera, the camera is an object. It's going to show that. What I want to do is I want to pull this out and grab an is object type. There's a couple ways to do this. This one seems to work pretty well most of the time. And this output item right here, this can actually be set to a portal. And if you don't know anything about portals, you're just funneling data without noodles. So I'll plug this in, you change the color to whatever you want. Shift D, make a copy. Now you'll have an output. It's not going to be set to property, so if you connect this, it's going to crash Blender 100% and you'll lose everything. Switch it to whatever data type that you're trying to funnel. And now we can go ahead and connect this. And I'll connect it here as well. And now we only get plane or sphere. And if I was to take this off, you see all three are showing. As soon as I tell it, hey, according to whatever properties are being outputted, only output the object type mesh. When we do that, now our list will be a lot cleaner that way. All right, so a couple of easy properties to pull out and work with, first of all, are going to be Viewport Display, because a lot of modeling is done there. So what we can do is we'll show maybe something like the axis and the wireframe. And I'm not going to grab these from over here and Shift V them. I want to take them from the view layer, pull the view layer up and knock down on plane. I just want to type in show, and just so you know what I'm doing first, if you go wireframe, hover your mouse, you'll see right down here it says show wire, and that's what we want to type in under data object sphere. And I guess we could just pull this from data as well. Let's see, but I am pulling view layer objects, so I'm going to pull it from here. We'll see how well it works. Type in show, and there's show wire. So I'm going to Shift V, drop that. Then there's show access, because what we're doing is we're using the Boolean properties here to switch the status of the button, switch the icons, and so on. So now let's grab a display property, and you can Shift D that a couple of times, and let's connect these up. Not like that. Using the wrong button. There we go. And we'll drag our portal over here right after we switch these to property. Shift D, make a nice copy of that, and we can display it. Now, this doesn't look good, so what we'll do, we'll throw these on a row. Click the align button and drop this in, and names will show up here. So this one is wire, so we can just call it wireframe. And the second one is axis. So we'll just call that one axis. And what I want to do is I want to turn this into more of a button. And that's actually pretty easy to do. You want to clean this up. So I'm going to grab another one here. Oops. Make these a little smaller. Very good. Keep everything nice, neat. And what I want to do here is grab a switch icons node. And what we're going to do is we're going to tag in different icons for each one of these. So let's grab another icon node, copy and paste it. That looks good. All right, so let's switch over to a search engine, and this is really easy. What you can do is you can just type in on off icon PNG, and you can search whatever you want. Grab the images here. I'll do something a little different than what I actually did for my add-on. A lot to choose from. This is kind of a nice button right here. And two that look not dissimilar. So here we go. Well, that one's tagged into another icon. So I want this one. Right click, save image as, go to your desktop, whatever, make a new folder. And let's start dropping these in. Make sure it says PNG and then save. And then I'm going to go back up to where this other red one was, like the counterpart or something close. Save image, boom, and that's the red one. Now that'll be what we can use for the beginning. And I'll go ahead and grab an image, open, desktop, find your folder. You can click the little four-prong button here and you'll get the icon, so you can say, hey, this one's green, open this one up, and it's always different every time I open it. It's so funny. All right, so now we've got the buttons here, and it will actually turn this on and off. So it works just fine. But, and I'd actually, for fun of it, I'm just going to reverse that. Make that one the top. So now it's not controlling it, nor is it switching the icon yet, because it needs data to do that. And so I'm going to actually drag the wireframe here and just tag this in. And the status, you'll see it'll change. And whatever, green means it's on potentially, so you could switch these around if you wanted. And then red means it's off. And so now we've switched that and it says wireframe. That's fine. And we got to do is come up with, let me just tag this in right here. We need to come up with a good name so we can call this something in the string. And what I want to do is I'm going to grab a switch data, tag that into the string. I'll grab a couple of string value inputs and tag that in. And this is going to change based on whatever we say. So very simply, let's see, wire off probably for the first one. And wire on for the second one. And now we can do the same thing and tag this in. And now it says wire on, wire off. And wire off is corresponding with the red. And then wire on is corresponding with the green. And so now we can do the exact same thing with the second property. Kind of start like a new line of code down here. Gonna work in right to left, left to right, however you want to do it. And this one does work too, but of course it's not currently subdivided. Subdivide it so we can see. Shift R that bad boy a couple times. And when the wireframe is on, we'll be able to see that, and then off, so on. And then access, cool. So we can come back over here. And what we want to do is something like XYZ axis. Should give us some really cool icons. I like this. Just for simplicity, I think we could use one of the black ones to show it's off. So I'll just grab this one. Right click as usual. It is a PNG. I'm going to snag that. And then I want to grab one that has color to it. This one looks really cool. Double for some reason. This one will work even better. That's cool. You can bring in any PNGs you want and turn them into icons. Makes it really nice. And so all we have to do is Shift D, duplicate that, and we can tag these in and they will go. Then we can tag that in. And what do we want to call this one? I'm not sure if this one's going to be backwards or not, but it should be correct. And this one will be access off, this one will be access on. Now I'm going to switch these icons. This one should be the on version. Where am I at? Desktop, demo, and that'll be for on. And this one, and I'll choose the black version for the off. So when I click this, now it's going to be backwards, just like the other one was. And I'll just rearrange all that, no big deal. So off, on, off, on. Very good. And so these buttons kind of work out nice like that. I'm just going to wonder why my box isn't showing up. Oh, I didn't put a box. So right here, after the true, I want to put a box so I can separate them so they look a little bit better. You can change the size however you want. Just stick with 1 for that one. Looks good. Create a save point. Make sure you're continuously creating save points. And so this is one way for you to actually switch data and make something a little bit cooler inside of the 3D viewport. So you're not just working with those very basic buttons, because otherwise you're literally just using a checkbox, and checkboxes are not cool. So, all right, that's all fine and good. Now let's just say you don't have any objects, and I'll do a Shift-R recompile. Compiled successfully, so everything looks good. You do have a compile up here, not as aggressive. That's why I'll do the Shift-R recompile. And if I delete everything and compile, it does compile successfully, but I feel like there's going to be an error. So I'm actually, let's see if I can drag this back. Sometimes you hit Control-Z and then you move the screen. You can hit Control-Z again, it won't crash. But if you Control-Z too many times in Serpens, it's gone. Just so you know. So right here, I want to actually do another check before I do absolutely anything. And I'm going to grab a bool math. I want to tag in the Boolean math, and I want to say, hey, is this object type mesh? And I want to see if there's anything selected. And if nothing is selected, it won't show up. And if I select something, the panel will show up. If I select a camera, the panel disappears. Now, if it's false, then we're going to want a label. We tag the label in. And then the label can say something like, let's select a mesh object. Boom. So that's nice. You can put a little exclamation mark at the end of it just to make our point. Let's select a mesh object, and so boom, you've got that. And if we do a Shift-R recompile, nice. Get a crash. I'm sure that was just Blender. Pull that bad boy back up. And grab the demo. I gotta do that again. Alright, it's faster the second time if I don't talk. And we'll grab selected objects. Go ahead and save that. Yes, still works, looks good. Tag this in. Let's select a mesh. So if it's not selected, boom, let's select it. Save point. Shift-R recompile, compile successfully, and it looks good. So now you've got a functioning add-on with some really cool buttons that actually are intuitive, and you will see the status of what's going on much, much easier. Now, I always like adding the Grabit button, so I'm going to throw in an operator here. And we'll throw in a button in the loop. I think we could dump this like right here. That's fine. We'll get rid of the words. Choose an icon. Grab a select icon. So it's much smaller. You can still kind of see what's going on in the add-on. Still keeps everything small, keeps the profile small. If you don't like that setup, then you can grab a column and throw that in, tag this into the next button area. But I prefer not to do that. I prefer to actually tag it in right here and just make it another little icon. I'm going to change this to custom, grab that operator. Down here, what we want to do is let's create a new property on this. We'll call it names. And for this one, I'm going to grab a set property. For this one, it can stay a string. That's perfectly fine. And we're going to need to get some other properties. So I'm going to make sure that I copy context again since I crashed. Copy context. And I definitely want to be in context. I want to be under view layer. I want to be under objects. And I want to grab the active object pointer, which is only going to show up if you have an active object. I'm going to drop that in, create a nice save point. I'm going to grab a pointer. Does not matter which kind, as long as it points to any mesh object. What I want to do is I'm going to actually go back in here. Let's see if I can find this. Go for a select set. Just type that in the search. Grab your select set. Drop this in. And what we want to do is set this to true. Set this to property. All that looks good. Set this one to property. And I want to set the active object to whatever is actually selected. On a property as well. Create a save point. Alright, there's my problem. Let's grab the property here. Actually, I want this to be the name since that's what we're trying to pull out. And I want to tag this in. And leave this one name as well. I'll get ahead of myself just a little bit. Now what this did is it put another place you can tag in right here called names. So a regular button stops at icon. We now have names, which is what we just grabbed. And what do we want to plug into this? Well, we want to grab everything that is in this loop for the name. Like we just used name here. And we could actually just plug names in just like that. Now this should actually work. And it's still selecting. Let me grab a select. So right click under here. Let's grab this run operator. And we want to first deselect everything. That looks better. Boom, there we go. So now we've got active object selector. Got the button set up. Got the access. Button changes, icon changes, and the mesh is showing a change. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. I'll store this up, package this up, and put it on my Gumroad. Obviously free. Just go pick it up, smash that subscribe, smash that like button on the way out. I'll put a link down below for the OCP add-on, which I'm really proud of. It's a pretty cool setup. If I can grab it. And it has, it's the same functionality on it, only it's backed with geometry nodes, and it's set up to allow you to do some pretty cool things. And it does have the grab button as well. Catch you guys in the next one.